Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. XRP tanked yesterday along with the rest of the crypto market and stocks on inflation fears because new numbers broke. And in case you haven't heard at this point, I'll go ahead and run them by you. Let me know what you think, but it's not looking so hot. Even so, markets rebounded rather quickly over the last 24 hours after the scare news broke. But hey, such is herd mentality. Speaking of herd mentality, there's a top analyst, and I want to share with you some of the stuff that he had to say. And by the way, this is really interesting too. I've been meaning to mention this. I don't think I've shared this on my channel yet, but this guy's doing something very interesting, and he's being very public about it. At the beginning of this month, he began purchasing $1,000 of Bitcoin per day, and he's going to do that for 4 months. And he is very optimistic that we're going to see a huge run-up in crypto markets led by Bitcoin by the end of this year. And he's hoping to flip it for a good 200 grand. So we'll see if that pans out for him. But since it's such an interesting thing, and he's a top analyst I follow anyway, I thought maybe from time to time I could just mention it because I can't be the only one that finds that concept interesting. Like literally dollar cost averaging in $1,000 a day for 4 months and then trying to flip it at the end of the year. Now, that's an interesting idea. But plenty to talk about. Before we go any further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. At the time that I'm recording this, XRP is sitting at 33 cents. Bitcoin's at $20,525. Market cap for the asset class, $938 billion, and Bitcoin dominance at 41.77%. So for much of the last 30 days, frankly, markets have looked about like this. XRP, with the drop yesterday, got as low as 31 cents. Bitcoin got down to $19,711. So again, markets have pretty well recovered to this point, but definitely scared the hell out of your typical retail investor. Here's a Crypto Fear and Greed Index at 15 out of 100, indicating, as usual, market participants are in extreme fear. And so again, it's inflation numbers, and also this broke on the same day, by the way. Here's a headline from the Daily Hodl. Embattled crypto firm Celsius files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. So you got this news. It actually broke yesterday, even though this article's from today. This broke yesterday, same time that the scary inflation numbers came out. So presumably it would be a contributing factor, let's say. Crypto lending firm Celsius is voluntarily filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy weeks after its native asset plummeted by more than 99%. According to a new press release, Celsius is filing bankruptcy to undergo a restructuring process in an attempt to stabilize the business and maximize value for stakeholders. As stated by Celsius co-founder and CEO Alex Mashinsky, and here's a quote from him, "This is the right decision for our community and company. We have a strong and experienced team in place to lead Celsius through this process. I am confident that when we look back at the history of Celsius, we will see this as a defining moment, where acting with resolve and confidence serve the community and strengthen the future of the company," end quote. Yeah, well, there are a lot of people that say this is the textbook definition of a Ponzi scheme. We'll see if they come up better on the other side of it, and I sure as hell hope so, just for the sake of everybody that had any sort of crypto on the platform. It's not good. And a lot of people are counting on their Spark airdrop by having their XRP on the platform. So I hope for the best, but I'm not particularly optimistic at this point, but we'll see what happens. Now, as far as what happened and people freaking out yesterday with the price drop for XRP, Bitcoin, pick your cryptocurrency, it was certainly led by, again, inflation. Take a look at this headline from CNBC. Inflation rose 9.1% in June, even more than expected, as consumer pressures intensify. Shoppers paid sharply higher prices for a variety of goods in June as inflation kept its hold on a slowing U.S. economy, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported Wednesday. The Consumer Price Index, a broad measure of everyday goods and services related to the cost of living, soared 9.1% from a year ago, above the 8.8% of Dow Jones estimate. That marked the fastest pace for inflation going back to November 1981. Yeah, so let me just pause here to note there are some things that are substantially more than 9.1%. For example, gasoline. Like, there are certain things that are up way, way, way more than that. And so when the news like this breaks, yeah, you see dips, but that's why it's so important when investing, whether it's stocks or crypto. It's the same story. And you do whatever, like, I'm not telling you what to, I don't know your situation, but I'm saying in general, what I firmly believe to be the best, certainly for myself, is to do absolutely nothing. And if prices tank enough, then I feel even more enticed to purchase. So as long as I've got cash on the side, and in this case, I do. I've got plenty of cash on the side. And I'm hoping for another big, I don't know if we're going to get it. I honestly don't. But if we do, I've got a lot of capital sitting on the sidelines. I'm ready to deploy because things don't go down forever. They don't go up forever. They don't go up forever either. But it doesn't make sense to be fearful. Everybody else is fearful, and I'm just sitting here thinking, my gosh, there's so much data indicating that it doesn't make logical sense, but people can't control their emotions, even if they had the information that I have, which is publicly available. It's not like I'm some sort of wizard. I'm just a dude on the internet. All of this information is available, which would make it seem very logical to not react the way that the typical retail investor is, yet here we are. So at least you're aware of it. But here you can see this is the S&P 500 index, and right where I'm circling right here, that it tanked. It tanked. And look, here was yesterday, tanked. But, you know, by the end of today, it seemed to have largely recovered. So it ended up down a little bit, but still had mostly recovered on both those days. So it's just kind of interesting to see. That's the reason I wanted to highlight this. Like if you look at, you know, here's a 24-hour chart for Bitcoin, and now here's a 24-hour chart for XRP. It looks about the same. So they did the same thing effectively as what even the S&P did. So it's not like that's why I keep saying, like, it doesn't make sense to be fearful in terms of, like, say XRP goes down to whatever. Pick your scary number, 25 cents, 20 cents, 15 cents. Well, as long as there's not a fundamental change in something surrounding XRP, then it's worth recognizing that such a drop doesn't mean anything in terms of long-term viability. It's just people selling everything, right? Including stocks. So I just don't care. Unless something fundamentally happens that would make me rethink the long-term viability of XRP, I'm not going to bat an eye at a lower XRP price. In fact, if we see something crazy, and again, I'm not predicting this, but I always tend to say, like, never say never in crypto. But if XRP got down to like that anywhere near 15 cents ever again, even I will buy more XRP. And I intentionally quit because it's my largest holding. It's my favorite crypto. But I decided that I had too much and I needed to diversify if I were going to put more money into crypto. So I have been doing that since then. I haven't bought XRP in almost 2 years at this point, but even I'm telling you, talk about sufficiently enticing me. Yeah, will everybody be panic selling? I will purchase their fear. I have no trouble with that whatsoever. And then there's this tweet from on-chain analyst Will Clemente, who wrote, "Market has shown Bitcoin should be thought of as a monetary debasement hedge, not necessarily a hedge against CPI inflation." And so, a couple thoughts on this. As far as the idea of Bitcoin being a hedge against inflation, all data publicly available, and all data is publicly available regarding Bitcoin price action, it shows that it's not behaving like a hedge against that. But in terms of debasement of the United States dollar, I agree with that, and here's why. As time passes and crypto increases, like you can imagine in the future, there will be I believe anyway, a market cap for the asset class in the tens of trillions, perhaps one day over 100 trillion. So purchasing power, in terms of purchasing power for the crypto, it's going to substantially increase, and the purchasing power of the dollar is going to continue to decrease. So if you look at it in those terms, that makes sense. But in terms of when there's scary news and this and that, no. There's no shortage of data showing that stocks move with crypto, and crypto moves with stocks. It's the same thing. But in terms of what's going to have more purchasing power in the future, yeah, I'll buy that. But it doesn't mean that it's going to act differently than the dollar, getting inflated and debased. Like I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if you look long term, yeah, what's going to have more purchasing power? Well, it seems pretty obvious to me. Now take a look at this. There are like several tweets from a chart analyst, Income Shark, who I think is a top shelf analyst. And take a look at what he had to say. He wrote, "Majority of my friends have joined crypto at the tops and quit at the bottoms the past 3 years." And here's a chart. I'll make this full screen while I'm reading this. And he says, "They represent retail investors very well because they trade on emotions. They want in when it's exciting and quit when it gets quiet. Majority have all quit again." Yeah, that sounds about right. Tell me in the comment section below, by the way. Do you have that experience with your friends and or family? I would love to know, like, my friends, frankly, like, yeah, they're pretty well all in crypto to some degree, but I don't get the sense that they put much money in, and I don't think that they really particularly follow it. So that's fine. I mean, that's better than, you know, jumping in at tops and selling at bottoms. But do you guys have the experience where a lot of your friends, they start calling you up if they know you're like the crypto guy or gal, and then they start asking for advice and stuff like that? Because look at this tweet. This is from July 2nd of this year from Income Sharks. He wrote, I told my friends to buy the past 5 years. Crickets. They then ask if they should buy $65,000. You're talking about Bitcoin price. And I say no. They then ask if they should buy Doge. Also said no. They do it anyways, and now all quit crypto. Sounds about right. Par for the course, my friends. Here's another tweet from Income Sharks. There's no difference in the skill set and mindset of people buying Bitcoin above $65,000 and people selling Bitcoin below $20,000. Both show a lack of experience, herd mentality, and emotions. Here's another one. You should decide if you are bullish or bearish on Bitcoin before you check the price. If you only like it on green days and hate it on red days, I can already guess your profitability as an emotional trader. If you believe in the fundamentals, then red days are discount days. Sage wisdom so far as I'm concerned. And then this is the piece that I was kind of teasing at the front part of this latest Moon Lambo hot jam. This is interesting. Purchasing, and he's very public about this. Here's a spreadsheet he put out. Purchasing $1,000 worth of Bitcoin every day, starting the beginning of this month, July 1st was the first day, through the end of October. And and so right now he's technically up 1.28%. So he's literally dollar cost averaging in over the span of 4 months, and then hoping to flip, because he really does believe that Bitcoin's going to ramp up. Maybe it'll hit up by the end of this year, you know, $30,000-$40,000, be back up there. So he's just going to sell it all. He's been very public about that. So I just thought for fun, from time to time, since he's so public about this, I might kind of share what his journey looks like, and we'll see if he's right. But man, depending on how much he puts in, like that could be a quick, like he could be up like $100,000 by the end of this year if it goes the way that he thinks it's going to go. So we'll see. There's no guarantees in any of this, but what a freaking ride. I'll go ahead and wrap up there, though. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Lambo.